Hey everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with another Dark Park Film Reviews. And today we are going to be looking at the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible franchise. We're going to be looking at my collection, which are Blu-rays 1 through 6, and then I will be doing a review and ranking of Mission Impossible 1 through 7. Mission Impossible 7 is still in the theaters, so I don't have a copy of that, obviously. I think that comes out around maybe November, December, somewhere in there, and I'll be picking that up. As you can see, sitting here in the background, right there, that's the Mission Impossible TV series. I did do a review of the box set of that. That's in a different video, so please check that one out if you're interested in the TV series. But technically, the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible films, they are a continuation of the TV series. I don't know if they follow the one that came out that was in, I want to say the 80s. There was 2 seasons with Peter Graves. I don't think it follows that one. I think it's supposed to take off from that one right there. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I am a massive Tom Cruise fan, as some of you know. And my favorite action series is Mission Impossible. So I will be sad when they finally end, but maybe after 8 movies, when part 2 of Dead Reckoning comes out, maybe that's a good time to end it. And on a high note, I'm hoping. So when Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 came out on that Monday, that was a kind of like a super fan early preview of the movie, which was going to be released on Wednesday. And so I did go to see that because, one, of course, I just wanted to see it as early as possible, but you got a couple things with it. One of the things that you got with it is this pin right here, which says IMF. And this is, and it does say, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 on it. It will stay in its package. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then you also got a poster, which is this poster right here. And when you left the theater, you got the pin and the poster. This down here says limited edition 2023. And so I went and got this framed. I also have these posters for Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. It's an 11x17 poster. And then I have the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 poster, the one with everybody on it. I got that one too, and I got that framed. It's 11x17. Now, the funny thing about this is I purposely went on Monday to get this in the pen. So last week I went to a premiere of a movie that I'm in, and sitting there on the freaking, like up at the, the concession stand is a stack of these posters. So I grabbed a bunch of them. So the one that I got at the on Monday night is framed. This is one that I got at the on the the concession stand. That kind of annoyed me because I purposely, like I said, I personally went to the one on Monday to get this stuff. They didn't have the pen, but they did have the posters. So I'm still glad that I went. And then I went again on Wednesday. Its official release day. So I've now seen it twice. I really enjoyed it. The first time that I went to see it, the sound was way too loud. The seats were shaking, and it's not that type of theater. And I could actually feel my eardrums throbbing. And then when I saw it again at a different theater on Wednesday, it was normal. It was like the way it was supposed to be, and I enjoyed it much more. So let's get into the Blu-rays, my collection that I have. And this is, I own a lot more Blu-rays than there are movies. So the first thing that I started off with before I became like a huge fan of the series is I got this here. And this is, excuse me, Tom Cruise Mission Impossible collection includes all 4 movies, Mission Impossible 1 through 4. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's a cool way. Now I got all 4 movies in one collection. And I kept this for a while. And so this is Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible 3, and then Mission Impossible 4, or Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And it's got all the special features. So I thought, oh, okay, cool. So when I got it, when it does have a reversible insert, and when I got it and I was looking at it, I think I was having a marathon one day. I normally do marathons on holidays, and I saw that they had Mission Impossible 1, the first one. Okay, that's fine. Then Mission Impossible 2. Okay, that's fine. Then Mission Impossible 3, Disc 1, feature film. And I'm like, is this a double disc? Okay, let me look into that. And then you have Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and this is feature film special features. So with part 3, I did end up buying the double disc for that. And this is the feature film, and then disc 2 has special features on it. But I'm not going to get rid of this one. I'm going to keep it, collector's item type of thing. Sure, why not? The next one is for the first Mission Impossible. This is the 25th anniversary edition, and it does have its slipcover, which I really like. This is newly remastered and includes collectible car decal, and it's the IMF logo. I might get a tattoo of this on my leg. I might do that. So when you, and this is Blu-ray and digital. And this I'm very happy with, because I only owned the first movie in this collection. So now I have it by itself. And what's on this is, now there's going to be a lot of mission repeated here. Mission Remarkable, 40 years of creating the impossible. Mission Explosive Exploits. Why am I having a hard time with this? Exploits. There we go. Mission Spies Among Us. Mission Catching the Train. Mission International Spy Museum. Mission Agent Dossiers. Mission Marketing. Excellence in Film Cruise. Generation Cruise. Photo Gallery. And then Trailer Gallery HD. It's PG-13, some intense action violence. So this is 1996 when this came out. This was the anniversary for that right there, because that was 66. It's a little different. So this is same front. Well, kind of the same front, doesn't have the anniversary stuff on it. And then when you open it, so it's got the movie, which, as I'm sure, is the same as the collection one, but you also get this decal, which will stay in here. This I got off of eBay. If you get it off of eBay, make sure you get it with the slipcover and the sticker. Don't trust just a photo that's taken off of Google. Actually look for one where the seller is showing all three: slipcover, case, and sticker. That's what I did. And then it's got its digital code right here. So this is something I'm very happy with. So even though part 2 is in the collection, I did choose to buy it separately just so I could have each one sitting next to one another. And they really haven't done anything with part 2. I think maybe that's because it's everybody's least favorite movie. But this is part 2. And there's one that's a case that has 1, 2, and 3 in it. And they look like this, except it just says 3, 1, 2, and 3. But this is another one of those ones where I just wanted it separate. just like part one. This has on it audio commentary by director John Woo. Behind the Mission, Mission Incredible. More, we got a lot of the same words in this. Impossible Shots, Disappear, Metallica music video, which I would probably say was their really last good song. It's a good video too, because it's all shot in San Francisco. I'm from the Bay Area, so I love San Francisco. Alternate title sequence, Excellence in Film Cruise, Generation Cruise. Huh. So I wonder if they took this stuff and put it on that 25th anniversary. And it's a PG-13 for intense sequences of violent action and some sensuality. And this is 2000. So this was made, 4 years after the first one. This just has the disc inside. Then part 3. So this ends what I call the first trilogy. I think a lot of us that are big fans of Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise consider this to be a trilogy, is 1 through 3. They could have ended it with 3 and it probably would have been fine. This is a 2-disc collector's edition. So when I found out in the collection that part 3 was disc 1, I wanted this for both discs. This says the best Mission Impossible yet. I kind of agree with that. It's Paramount High Definition. And let's see, what do we got on this one here? So I didn't mention the first film, the first Mission Impossible is directed by Brian De Palma, which was a very interesting choice. And then Mission Impossible 2 was John Woo. This one is directed by J.J. Abrams before he was J.J. Abrams. And this is just when he was doing television. It's also one of the writers on this is Alex Kurtzman. Alex Kurtzman ended up doing The Mummy with Tom Cruise. He directed it, and I think he was one of the writers on it. Back then, I liked both of them. Now I don't. I am not a J.J. Abrams fan, and I'm not an Alex Kurtzman fan. I think J.J. Abrams is one of the reasons why Star Wars sucks. And I think Alex Kurtzman is one of the reasons why Star Trek sucks. So I'm not a fan of them. But I do like this, and I am a fan of The Mummy. So that's before they started destroying everything. So the special features on this are disc 1 is commentary by Tom Cruise, which is pretty cool, and director J.J. Abrams, as they discuss their experience making MI3. Disc 2, which is why I wanted it, go behind the camera with the making of The Mission, HD, inside the IMF, never before seen deleted scenes, HD, Mission Action Inside Action Unit, HD, a lot of action, visualizing the mission, HD, Mission Metamorphosis, HD, scoring the mission. It has one of the best soundtracks, HD, launching the mission, Movie Phone Unscripted. Oh yeah, remember Movie Phone? Excellence in Film, and more. So this has got a ton of stuff on it. It's PG-13, and this is 2006. So we got 96, 2000, and then 2006. So they're spaced apart quite a bit. So there's our disc from the collection. And then here's that second disc, special features. So if you get this, make sure that you get this version of it. So you get both versions, you get both discs. Now, the fourth one to me starts a whole new trilogy. It kind of rebooted the series a little bit, and I'll get into that a little bit more later. Excuse me. But that is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. It's also the first film to not have a letter. This is the Best Buy exclusive. At the time I worked at Best Buy, and it's the limited edition three disc set, over 1 hour of exclusive bonus content. And then you also get that digital copy. So Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy. This you could only get at Best Buy. So when I was there, I had to figure out, do I want to just get this? Like, I think it's just a single disc with just this, or do I want to get the whole thing and it has its slipcover? And so I chose to pick this. And because I wanted the slipcover and everything, it kind of has this metallic cover to it, which is pretty cool. And on this, let's see if it does a tell on here. Yeah, we'll look at it this way. And I don't think, yeah, they're the same. Yeah, pretty much the same. So the special features on this one is disc 1 is Blu-ray feature film. Disc 2, over 2 hours of thrilling bonus content. So you get Mission Accepted, on-set action with Tom Cruise, J.J. Abrams, who stepped aside as director and became a producer for a while. Because basically what Cruise wanted to do was he wanted to have one director per film to give it a different look, a different style, and all of that. So that's what happened for a while. So it's so Tom Cruise, J.J. Abrams, director Brad Bird, see the amazing stunt work on the world's largest building in Dubai and more. Mission Impossible's The Sandstorm Brought to Life, the secrets behind the gadgets, the brutal fight in Russia, the spectacular car crash, behind the scenes in Dubai, and more. Deleted scenes, an alternate opening with director's commentary, and much more. And then disc 3, disc 3 would be the not the digital. Disc 3 is the DVD of the film. So you get Blu-ray, DVD, and then you get a digital copy down here. It's also PG-13, and it's 2011. So there was a thing in between part 3 and 4 with Cruise and Paramount. Also, he ended with Paula Wagner, their production company, the Cruise Wagner Productions. A lot of this had to do with Scientology. Is Paramount dropped him because of the whole Scientology thing. That's during the time when he was like jumping on sofas and he was having these really weird interviews, and like Spielberg said that he wouldn't work with him anymore because Cruise was handing out during War of the Worlds Scientology pamphlets to the cast and crew. So there was, and I tend to think that's Cruise's sister's fault, because she became like his manager after a while, and then that stopped. And pretty much this is when it stopped. So in between 3 and 4 was a really rough period. Also with part 3, I believe that's when Scientologists were buying as many tickets as they could to the theaters, especially the Cinerama Dome in LA, and they were selling out theaters without showing up. So there's a really weird thing with Scientology in that. With part 4, Cruise calmed down. So this is kind of like a light reboot of the series. And you get, so this is the Blu-ray. Then these are the special features. And then you get the DVD here, feature film. And then it tells you here how to get like the digital copy and all that. So, but this is the one that, once again, I recommend getting this one if you're gonna, try to find it eBay or something like that, if you're gonna collect it. Now, this is where I go a little crazy. I then found out that I was at Big Lots and I saw that they had the steel book version of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. So I said, what the hell? I think it was really cheap. It was probably like, I don't know, $5, $7, whatever they charged for it. And so I picked it up. So that's this here. And I kept this because that's the back, which is this picture here. And I kept this, and it holds here. And it's got everything that and this is just the Blu-ray single disc, but I wanted it because it was a steel book. And then here's a picture here. Oh, so yeah, so that's Cruise in Dubai. And so that's why I wanted it. And then I got geeky, and I was really geeky, and I was at Zia Records, and I found this for, I think it was $6. And so I picked it up, which was another steel book of Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, but it has a different cover. But it doesn't have its paper flap over it, but that's okay. It was only like $6. And once again, it's just a single disc, Blu-ray feature film special editions or special features. So it's the same thing. It's got a different picture inside. So I was like, okay, why not? I'm a geek. Why not? Go with it. Then the next film that he did, and that was, when was Ghost Protocol? I think I have to look back on 2011. Yeah, 2006 to 2011. That's like I said, that's when they had that big Paramount and him and Paula Wagner and stuff had that big falling out. So after that, then came Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And I would consider this to be the second film in trilogy number 2. And it's got its slipcover here. And on this, it says, get a bonus digital copy of your favorite Mission Impossible or of your favorite mission. And they got 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And this is Blu-ray, DVD, digital HD copy. This is the film that introduces Elsa, who's Rebecca Ferguson. She's right there. One of the best characters in the series. And there we got Cruise hanging from a plane, which is his big stunt in this movie. Just like the building in the first one. So this one has it's 2 discs, over 45 minutes of high octane bonus content. Disc 1, Blu-ray feature plus special editions. So you get Lighting the Fuse, Cruise Control Heroes, Cruising Attitude, Mission Immersible, Sand Theft Auto, The Missions Continue, audio commentary by Cruise and director Christopher McQuarrie. In my opinion, and I think most fans would agree with me, Christopher McQuarrie is the best thing that ever happened to Tom Cruise. Where some people will say, for like, let's say Metallica, the worst thing that ever happened to them was Rob Rock. For me, this is the opposite. So that's music, this is movies. But Christopher McQuarrie was also one of the writers on The Mummy. And he is, from this point on, has directed all the Mission Impossible movies. And from part 4 on, they have had a continuous story where like 1, 2, and 3 could actually be looked at as separate stories. And then disc 2 on this is the DVD feature film. This is also PG-13. And for sequences of action and violence and brief partial nudity. This is 2015. So we got, what was it, 2011, 2015. And then a little different. And then you got there's the Blu-ray, there's the DVD. And then you get this here, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, the official game. And then on the back is how you would choose your favorite mission, and then you would put in the code. Offer expires 2016. So then, because I got Ghost Protocol Steelbook, I, of course, had to get Mission Impossible Rogue Nation Steelbook. And it came in this plastic, which is awesome. So I just left it in it. I'm going to continue to keep it in it. So here it is without the plastic on it. It's got a good cover. And it's got that paper here. All the stuff with crews on the plane. And looks like the same exact stuff as far as special features go. Just very carefully. There we go. And that's how they, a lot of pictures in there. So here we have the Blu-ray, DVD, and that's the full. A lot of cool pictures. And then you get the digital code, and then here's your favorite mission again. Oh, I already looked at that. Oh, we can put that away. No, or was that in the last one? That was in the last one too. Yeah, so they also give you that. And they give it here. All right, so then we put it back together. And then we're going to put it in its plastic. And I might buy these just for a lot of my movies. The paper thing came off, so you just got to stick it back in there. There it goes. Okay. Now after that came Mission Impossible Fallout, which is right here. And this was the highest grossing one at the time. And this is PG-13, 2018. Go behind the scenes with 60 plus minutes of special features. So disc 1, Blu-ray feature film plus special features, commentary by director Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise. Additional commentaries, isolated score track. It does have one of the best soundtracks. Disc 2 is the making of Mission Impossible Fallout. Get a look get the inside look at the impossible stunts and breathtaking locations. Deleted scenes montage with director commentary, foot chase musical breakdown, storyboards, and more. And then the disc 3 is the feature film, and then you also the DVD feature film, and then you also get the digital one that you can watch anywhere. And it's got its slipcover, and it's more or less the same. So we got and then this one here's got its digital code right here. Here's the Blu-ray special features, and then DVD feature film. Got nothing in the background there. And you probably could have, or you probably did see this coming, had to get the Fallout Steelbook. I'll probably do the same thing with Dead Reckoning. But here's this. It's got a cool cover on it. And it's got the paper flap on it. I made sure to get that. It's got the helicopter chase scene at the end. And this has, yeah, the same stuff, and it's certified fresh. Like I've said before, if that means anything. So we got the back. And then inside, oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff inside. So here you have the DVD, Blu-ray film, and then Blu-ray special features, and then Cruise running, like leaping in the air. So this is the, and then he's running to the building. This is the famous scene of him breaking his ankle, and you can, and that's the shot that Christopher McQuarrie used in the film, is him breaking his ankle, and then from a different angle you see him pulling himself up and limping off camera. That is because Cruise is a professional. He did not, you know, he didn't stop. He didn't yell cut. He continued. So, and then you get with it the digital thing, which probably isn't any good anymore, but you also get this booklet. And and it's called Tom Cruise Mission Impossible Fallout Stunts Raising the Bar. And it shows you scenes, and you get some reviews. These things have great motorcycle chases too. I mean, Rogue Nation is one of the greatest motorcycle chases ever. So that's pretty cool. Put all these back in here, and then we'll put its top on it. There we go. Okay, so that's my collection. That's everything I have. That's the films in order. Oh, and Fallout was when? 2018. I think I already said that. I'm not sure. But so with Dead Reckoning, they had, the film was actually ready to go like a few years ago. It got stopped because of COVID. And then it started up again, and then it stopped again because of COVID. Then it started again. And because of basically Tom Cruise saving America, saving theaters, I guess America and the world with movie theaters, like he did with Top Gun Maverick. Spielberg says it must be correct. They weren't going to just release this on streaming or straight to video. They were going to wait. And so then Dead Reckoning came out this year, 2023, when they wanted to release it a couple years ago. You've probably seen or heard those videos or sound clips of Cruise like freaking out at his crew because they're not following COVID mandates. And a lot of people thought that was unfair of Cruise to do. A lot of, thought that, I completely agree with him 100%, because he's the star, he's the producer, it's his franchise. And he doesn't, if his stuff is already getting shut down because of COVID, you don't want to get it shut down again and again and again, because people won't wear a mask, or they won't stand 6 feet apart, or they're just not following, protocols. And so I completely agree with him on that. So with that being said, let's get into my ranking and reviews. So it's going to start with the worst going up to the best. So, and I'm going to give my reasons why. So Mission Impossible 2 is what I think is the worst Mission Impossible movie. Is it still very entertaining and everything? Yes. At the time, did it seem the way to go with John Woo? Probably, yeah. It's very different from the first film, which is directed by Brian De Palma, which has more of a spy crime thriller element to it, where a lot of the movie is quiet. Mission Impossible 2 is loud, explosive. It has all of the John Woo traits in it. And for if you love John Woo, you love stuff like The Killer and Hard Boiled and and all these films, that at the time probably was the right way to go. but it was more, I think, a John Woo action movie than it was like a Mission Impossible film. It's overall written by a couple of the Star Trek guys of that time, and I just thought the script was very lazy, where somebody would say, when's the bridge going to blow up? The other person would say, in 3 minutes. In part two, one of our characters is going to die from a virus, and Ving Rhames goes, how long does she have? No, I think it's Tom Cruise who says, how long does she have? And Ving Rhames goes, not long. And to me, that was lazy, absolutely lazy writing, because you want to have that time clock. You want to have the suspense of the countdown of, will this character die of the virus or not? And I thought by not giving a time, it was just bad writing, and you could do whatever you wanted to in that span of time. So is part two, do I still recommend it? Yeah. I mean, I would recommend watching it from part one all the way to part 7. I would never say don't watch one of them, because they're all entertaining. Just Mission Impossible 2, I think, is the weakest one. Then, so that would be, yeah, so that's the worst. Then from there, Mission Impossible, the first one. I really enjoy it. I like Brian De Palma's directing. Like I said, I think that he was an interesting choice. Cruise picked him to direct the film, so that was very interesting. I'm not a huge fan of the soundtrack. I have to admit that. I'm a huge Oingo Boingo Danny Elfman fan. For the most part, I love his soundtracks and music. I just did not think that he really fit the Mission Impossible mode. And this is also this is 96, so Cruise is still a little cocky, a little conceited about things, and which works with the character as he evolves through the series. But it's still, and it's also a movie that a lot of the original Mission Impossible fans hate, because they took the Phelps character, who is like the biggest character from the TV series, Peter Graves, and they turned him into the villain in part 1, who's played by Jon Voight. And a lot of the fans of the series say that would never happen in 1,000 years. Never. And I understand why they did that, because they still wanted it to connect to the series, but they wanted the Ethan Hunt character to be the main character, not Phelps. And at the time, I really hadn't watched the show that much, so I didn't have anything to complain about. To me, it was fine. I mean, I didn't care. Maybe after I watch all these, I'll think differently, but I doubt it. Maybe not. I don't know. But Mission Impossible, the first film, it's good, but it's not great. It has its moments. There's a lot of CGI, even though Cruise does do a lot of his stunts, like with the aquarium exploding. He does jump out of the window with all the water and all that stuff. But there's like the train sequence compared to Dead Reckoning, where Dead Reckoning is all live and physical. On a train, the train that's in Mission Impossible is CGI. And at that time, I understand that's 96 compared to we'll just say 2003, because that's when Dead Reckoning was released. Now, and then after that, and now it starts getting tough. Mission Impossible 3 would be after that. So remember, going from worst to best. Mission Impossible 3, to me, is the film that saved the franchise. And some people will disagree with that, because part 1 made a lot of money. Part 2 made even more money, but critically, it was not a hit. Mission Impossible 3, critic-wise and fan-wise, people liked it. It was darker. It was, it was meaner. It was more depressing, which is why I like it, which is why I think it's the best out of the original trilogy. And that's the one directed by J.J. Abrams, and that's written by Alex Kurtzman. Philip Seymour Hoffman still plays probably, I want to say, the second best villain in this film or in the series. And he's just, he is just ruthless in this. But one of the problems was that a lot of people just kind of called it, you know, been there, done that. And so I'm looking up one of the movies here. So I'm blanking on a character name. So I want to make sure that I get that character name correctly. Let me just try to find it. Here we go. Lane. So Lane comes up later on. So I just wanted to make sure I got his name correct. A lot of people thought, yeah, that it was too violent. It was too depressing. Critics were saying, yeah, been there, done that type of thing. And then it just didn't make as much money. So it was the third film and it made the least. And that's, like I said, right after, you know, during part 3 and stuff is when Cruise was doing all that crazy stuff. But I think it's the best out of the 3. I really do. I like the story. It makes sense. It's well written. And I can't believe I'm saying that about, you know, Alex Kurtzman. But that's one that I could watch over and over. It has the famous Tom Cruise running scene, you know, when he's running along like that like river. He just starts from like one end and the camera just follows him through, just, you know, and stuff, as he's trying to race to get his wife. And this one also makes Cruise more human. You know, we're in the he now has the wife. He's kind of removed himself from IMF. He's starting to get a family going. And there's a more human side to him. So in the first film, it's more Tom Cruise detective. Second film is more Tom Cruise kind of like show off guy. And then part 3 is more kind of like a family guy. You know, he's much more realistic, gets really brutally beat up and stuff in part 3. So I highly recommend part 3. Now, this may seem strange, but the 4th would be Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. My reason for saying that is I haven't seen part 2. Obviously, that's next year. And even this one is directed very differently from the previous films. So it's still directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who did Rogue Nation. He did Fallout. And now he's done, you know, both Rogue Nation Part 1 and 2. Brad Bird did Part 4. To me, that's the beginning of that trilogy. So Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout. But with Dead Reckoning, I like the directing in it. And there will be spoilers. I think that it's been out long enough now, like 3 weeks or whatever. So I'm going to do some spoilers for it. I didn't like the way that Elsa, Rebecca Ferguson's character, dies. I thought it was kind of weak. I think that the villain in not the entity, but the person that represents the entity is kind of a weak villain. There's not a lot of depth to him. There's stuff in this that we never heard about in all the other movies, and we're on movie 7, like a previous love interest that Cruise had that was killed before he joined the IMF, which I guess maybe he wouldn't bring up because that was a different life, I guess. I don't know if this is how they do it, because they did it, maybe they do it differently with different people, but when they offer, like Cruise or Hunt tells Rose to, you know, because she's like the pickpocket and the thief and everything, he tells her that, you know, that she's going to get a choice, and that to either like join the IMF or not, and to say yes or no to Kittredge, who I love that he came back from the first film. I wish that they would have used him more. Maybe they chose to go with him instead of Alec Baldwin because of the stuff that happened with Alec Baldwin on Rust. But because Alec Baldwin's he was in like two or three of them. And but with Benji in part 3, he's just a computer tech. That's all he is. And then in part 4, Rogue Nation, Cruz says, Benji, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I passed the field test and now I'm an agent. I'm out here doing stuff. And so now he's like a computer tech agent type of thing. And but that's so maybe because he doesn't have a criminal past or something bad didn't happen to him, he went through the whole thing. So then when Rose from Kittredge, she says yes to the offer to become part of IMF, I'm curious, I would be curious to find out, does she still have to go through everything? Does she still have to go through training and all that type of stuff? Because this is something I've never heard of. And, I guess Ving Rhames was offered it. And Benji even says that he was offered it in part 7, which is kind of weird because he wasn't. At least we never saw it. So there's stuff like that I found to be kind of weird. The film didn't make as much money as they were hoping. It had a big opening, but because of the start and stop with COVID and some other stuff, the movie is not broken even yet. And as we know, films that are, you have to basically have, in simple terms, you have to double your budget to make back your money. And last I looked at the box office is Dead Reckoning has not even hit what the budget is said to hit. And that's not good. So I think that was a problem, that they should have released it in August, when there's basically nothing to go up against the film, and they probably would have made back all their money. That just would have been the month of Mission Impossible. But when you have Indiana Jones at the beginning of the month, which did bomb, and then you have Mission Impossible, and then right after that, you got Barbie and Oppenheimer, and then floating in there is Sound of Freedom, which was the surprise hit, which took away from Indy and Mission Impossible. Movies aren't making money. Now, Barbie is a hit. It made a ton of money. Oppenheimer didn't, but it still made money. I think that they should have moved it to August. Also, I think there was oversaturation on the film. I think showing Tom Cruise thanking everybody for seeing like Top Gun Maverick, and he's on that kind of like that old plane, and he's on the wing, and you got the camera, and he's thanking everybody for going to the theaters and seeing Maverick, which made I think it's $4 billion, highest grossing Tom Cruise movie, highest grossing movie of that year, highest grossing movie ever for Paramount. So when Spielberg says, dude, you saved Hollywood, that's true. And I think that they were betting on that for Mission Impossible 7, and they didn't get it. So I think when I say oversaturation, you have like a ton, like thousands of people saw that motorcycle jump. And so when you see it in the theater, you're kind of like, oh, okay. I saw it like 4 months ago. And then other stuff. There were like a bunch of different trailers. They were still showing some, like then the train became kind of a thing that you would watch. So I think just so many people saw it that by the time the movie came out, they just didn't want to see it as much. And I hope that they changed that for part 2. So that's why if I see part 2 and I like it, which I'm guessing I will, Dead Reckoning will probably go up because I really did enjoy it. I would go see it a third time in the theater, if I wanted to go see something. So, and then the next one would be Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And that one, like I said, that introduces Elsa. That's now Benji is out in the field. Ving Rhames is still there. It introduces, and God, I am blanking, and I should know this, Lane, which is Sean Harris, who is in Rogue Nation and Fallout, who I consider to be the best villain in the entire series. That includes part 7. and with Philip Seymour Hoffman being the second best. And Lane, I think, is just a great villain. We are introduced to the Syndicate, and we're now going off of like the previous films. So there are mentions of like part 3. There's a mention in part 4 of part 3 and 4. And it's got one of the best like motorcycle sequences ever. It's really well directed, by Christopher McQuarrie. He's one of the writers on it. And it is just a great movie. And each film, as they go by, they use the theme more and more throughout it. And I like that, how they incorporate the theme into other parts of the music. It isn't just the theme from time to time. It works its way throughout each movie more and more. And Rogue Nation, I can watch anytime. I love Rogue Nation. It is really good. And it starts off good, and by the end, it just gets great. This is one that begins in the record store, which is in the very first episode of the TV series. It's in the pilot. And the idea is the same. So I think that they did watch the TV series. And so, yeah, I highly recommend Rogue Nation. Then the next one is Mission Impossible. This would be the second one, the second best one, Ghost Protocol. I love Ghost Protocol. A lot of people juggle Ghost Protocol and Fallout to be the best. Ghost Protocol is the film that made Mission Impossible what it is today. The first 3 films were kind of on their own. You could kind of compare them to like Bourne Identity, or I mean, you might even look at them, even though John Wick hadn't come out at the time, like John Wick, something like that. They really hadn't found their feet yet. With Ghost Protocol, and I think it all has to do with Brad Bird, that was it. That was the film that moved Mission Impossible away from all the other movies and gave it its own thing. Now it's a Mission Impossible film. The characters, the other agents, the all the gadgets, the big special effects, the stunts that Tom Cruise would do. And the great thing is that with part 4 on, is they're using crappy equipment, and you see that. And like at the beginning of I think it's of Ghost Protocol, is Ethan has to get one of those, if you accept this messages, or if you accept this mission message, on a payphone, and it says this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. It doesn't. He has to go back and hit the phone, the payphone, and then it does the smoke. And throughout the film, he's using bad equipment because they're kind of rogue. He's always rogue, but the equipment that they use doesn't work a lot. So they may be able to make one mask, but they can't make a second. And when like Cruise is on the building, he's got those gloves, and one of them malfunctions, and he can only use the one glove. That was the great thing about this, is that they're just using all of these outdated like electronics and machines and stuff like that. Plus we got the great building sequence. We got the sandstorm sequence. We got the plane at the beginning. It has everything. It would be probably, I would say, start from the first film and go forward, but 4 would probably be the film I would say people may want to start with and then go back. It's just so good. Soundtrack, characters, situations, everything is so good. I mean, they just got it. And I really think that has a lot to do with Tom Cruise. And then the best in the series is Mission Impossible Fallout, in my opinion. Like I said, it teeters with Ghost Protocol. I almost put part 7 up here. But since I look at these as trilogies, I think 1, 2, and 3, watch those on their own. and then like 4, 5, and 6, watch those on their own. And then you have Dead Reckoning Part 1 and then Dead Reckoning Part 2. I would like for there to be another one so that you can kind of have another trilogy. But Fallout is practically perfection when it comes to a Mission Impossible movie. And with Henry Cavill is one of the best characters in the entire series. Everybody loves, and I agree, when I rewatch the films, I actually smile. I get excited in the restroom fight scene when Henry Cavill does the cocking of like his arms or his fists when he's about to fight. And it's such a great little thing. But that whole sequence is great because it also shows that, you know, like Tom Cruise or Ethan Hunt is not like a Mary Sue type of character, that he can get his ass kicked. And in that sequence, he is saved by, well, him and Henry Cavill are saved by Elsa and, you know, Rebecca Ferguson. And which is funny. And so that fight scene is great. Just the whole thing with also just how it ties into the last film, you know, with Rogue Nation, with Lane, and how Lane is all about, he's almost like Thanos in a way that he wants to like destroy the world and kind of start over type of thing. And he has his own legion or cult of people. And, you know, Henry Cavill is one of those people. So he completely switches and is going to help Lane, you know, get this bomb going to get the end of the world started. And I love that we think that he's a good guy at first, and then he turns out to be this completely other character. And he is a great opponent as far as fighting wise with Tom Cruise. And so I love Fallout. I think Fallout is so good. One of the things that I did find a little disappointing in the whole series is Ving Rhames. Is they chose not to have him in part 4 of Ghost Protocol. They said it was budgetary, but I don't know about that. I mean, because part 3 didn't do as well as they wanted, they thought for part 4, let's bring in Jeremy Renner, and he will, if Ghost Protocol bombs, we're going to have him take over the series and we're going to get Tom Cruise out. That's why he was there. And Ghost Protocol then made more money than the other ones. It made a ton of money. So they decided to stick with Cruise. And then Jeremy Renner was in Rogue Nation. He was not in Fallout because he was doing one of the Avenger movies. But that was the idea of him being there, was to replace Tom Cruise. I bring up Ving Rhames because he's not in Ghost Protocol until the very end. Like they got him in for one day of shooting to have him in it. So technically he and Tom Cruise are the only 2 actors that have been in every one of the movies. And it's nice to have him there, and I'm glad that he was, but I don't know, did they get him out to bring in Jeremy Renner? I'm not sure. I tend to think that there's a health thing going on with Ving Rhames. That's just my thoughts. That in each film, he tends to do less and less action. He seems to be sitting a lot, and there might be something with his health that might be another reason why Simon Pegg, Benji, was brought in, was kind of to help out with that, and you know, with the action and things like that. And because in Dead Reckoning Part 1, Ving Rhames leaves, like, I don't know, 75% into the movie, somewhere in there. He splits. He says, I have to go completely off the grid. I can't tell you where I'm going to go. The entity is going to find me. And he's gone. And he's not there for the rest of the movie. So I don't know what they're going to do with him with, you know, Dead Reckoning Part 2. But it could be health issues. I'm not really sure. So that's kind of it. So basically, it's the worst one, Mission Impossible 2, then Mission Impossible 1, Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible Directing Part 1, which was really tough for me to put in there. It's like right in the middle. And then Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, then Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, then Mission Impossible Fallout. So that's my ranking, at least for now. It could change. But I think I think Dead Reckoning will go up and down. We'll just have to see what part 2 does. And then just to kind of recap the Blu-rays, we got Fallout, Steelbook, and then just regular Fallout. Then we got Rogue Nation, Steelbook, regular Rogue Nation, Ghost Protocol, Steelbook, another Ghost Protocol Steelbook, then the regular Ghost Protocol, and then Mission Impossible 3, Mission Impossible 2, and then Mission Impossible, that 25th anniversary edition with the sticker, and the Mission Impossible collection of movies 1 through 4. What I'm showing you here, like I said, is how I would recommend, if you wanted to purchase them, to get them. I mean, maybe get them all in a big collection now. I think you can get 1 through 6 all in one collection, but you may not get the bonus discs. And then maybe have 7 and 8 on their own. That's kind of like what I'm doing with the Fast and the Furious. Is I got the Blu-ray collection, and so it goes through 1 through 9, and then I'm going to pick up separately Fast 5, because Ving Rhames said now it's a trilogy. It's not the last movie, so I guess 10, 11, 12 can kind of be on their own. I'm a little weird about that. But yeah, so that's my breakdown. So I highly recommend this series. I also, of course, recommend both Top Gun movies. I recommend both Jack Reacher movies. Haven't seen the TV series for that, but I've heard it's closer to the books. And the author is Lee Child is a lot happier with those. He felt that Tom Cruise did not fit the character. I liked both. I never read the books, so I have nothing to compare it to. So yeah, I'm just a big fan of Tom Cruise and the stuff that he does. Is everything a hit? Of course not. There's hits and misses, just like everybody else. And to me, that's what a true fan really is. And I know fan is short for fanatic, but if you really like a band, or you like an actor, or anything like that, a baseball team, football team, you can be a huge fan and still say that not everything they do is good. And in my case, I think the Beatles are the best band out there, even though the Monkees are my favorite band, but I think the Beatles are the greatest band. They may be one of the only bands where every album is great. Like I would not be able to say they have one bad album. That may be the only case. But I think if you can sit there and say, oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of this band, but not every record is perfect. Or, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of this actor, and not every movie is perfect. That's the way it should be. Don't sit there and say everything is great. Just because you like Star Wars doesn't mean that every Star Wars movie is great. It isn't. Not everyone is good. There are good ones and bad ones, and then there are horrible ones, just like Star Trek. It's so look, I think just look at it that way. Just if you're going to be a fan, just acknowledge when things aren't great. And it's fine. You can even like the films that aren't great. But, which for me that's why, I got the list here of worst to best, because not everything is the best with Mission Impossible. Some are better than others. And I was really hoping that part 7 would be the best of all of them, but it wasn't. That's okay. I'll still watch it. I saw it twice. So I guess that's it. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. And please, click, subscribe, share. If you want to comment down below on what your favorite Mission Impossible movie is, or maybe give me your list of worst to best. That would be fun too. So yeah, I already got planned some other videos coming up. And so I'm kind of getting back into it again. Just a lot of stuff happened recently. Went to 2 premieres of 2 films that I was in, one of them in LA, one in Vegas. Then went to another screening of a film that I'm in, also here in Vegas, and did some acting and some crew work. So the last couple of weeks have been a little crazy, but now I'm kind of getting back into it again. So I guess that's it. So thanks a lot, everybody. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.